The first thing that felt wrong wasn't the lights, it was the lock. My key slid in fine, but when I turned it, there was no click. The door was already unlocked. For a second, I just stood there on the porch, suitcase at my feet, trying to remember if I'd left it that way. The neighborhood was quiet, too quiet for a Saturday afternoon. The kind of stillness that feels staged. I pushed the door open and the smell hit me. Perfume Chardonnay, and something else I couldn't name. Inside, everything looked perfect, almost too perfect. And then I saw it, a wine glass half full on the counter, and a silk robe draped over the sofa. My robe. That's when I heard it. "Gary, someone's here," a woman's voice called out. Then footsteps, and there she was, standing in the hallway like she owned the place. Middle-aged pearls attitude, thick as hairspray. "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" she demanded. My house. I didn't even speak at first. I just stared. She didn't recognize me right away, or maybe she didn't want to. The realization hit like cold water. This woman, my HOA president, was living in my home, drinking my wine, wearing my robe, and now she was telling me to leave. That's where it really began to make sense, but to understand how it got this bad, you have to rewind a few months. When I first moved into Maple Ridge Estates, I wasn't looking for luxury. I just wanted quiet. After 15 years in cybersecurity, I'd had enough of people, passwords, and politics. The house sat at the end of a cul-de-sac surrounded by green lawns that all looked cloned from the same brochure. It felt peaceful. Then came her. Margaret Doyle, the HOA president. Perfect posture, perfect hair, perfect smile, until you read the fine print. She welcomed me with a binder the size of a phone book. "We take pride in maintaining standards," she said. Her eyes flicked to my modern steel mailbox. "That one isn't on the approved list." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Big mistake. Within a week, I got my first violation letter trash bins visible for 38 minutes after pickup. Then one about a maple tree that wasn't HOA-approved flora. Another for overly reflective windows. She had a rule for everything. I tried to play along. Repainted the mailbox, moved the bins. But every concession only fed her need to control. It wasn't about order, it was about power. My neighbor, old Mr. Landry, warned me. "Don't cross Margaret," he said while watering his hydrangeas. "She fined me for having a garden gnome once." I laughed. He didn't. After that, I started noticing her patterns. Her silver SUV cruising by every evening, phone camera aimed at my lawn. Sometimes I'd spot her silhouette by the hedges, pretending to walk her dog while taking pictures. That kind of obsession doesn't come from duty. It comes from insecurity dressed as authority. So I did what I do best. I started collecting data. Every notice, every visit, every time she passed by. I built a digital map of her control. Monday patrols, Wednesday warnings, Friday fines, Sunday social walks. It was almost mathematical. But behind the numbers, I could feel something personal, jealousy, resentment, the kind that festers in people who crave relevance. Then came the business trip that changed everything. I landed a contract in London, 6 weeks overseas. The morning before I left, she intercepted me at the mailbox. "Traveling abroad, how exciting," she said sweetly. "Just remember Rule 19B. You must provide a key to the HOA for emergency inspections." I hated that rule, but she'd made it mandatory. So I handed over a spare just to avoid another battle. Before leaving, I locked down everything: cameras, sensors, encrypted servers linked to a private cloud. My home was my fortress. Or so I thought. 2 weeks later, while sitting in a conference room overlooking the Thames, I got a system alert. Thermostat override manual input from home. Then a fridge inventory update. Someone had added milk. I don't drink milk. I stared at the screen, heartbeat slowing instead of racing. There was only one explanation. Someone was living in my house. I logged in remotely, pulled up the kitchen feed, and there she was. Margaret Doyle, in my robe, pouring Chardonnay like it was a spa retreat. A man's voice her husband joined from off-screen. They laughed. My dining table, my plates, my life invaded. Most people would have called the cops. But I know how the world works. She'd twist it, say it was authorized inspection. So I didn't call anyone. I documented everything. Logs, timestamps, network pings, video, audio, even thermostat changes in the bedroom. Over the next week between meetings, I turned into a ghost analyst, watching them live like royalty inside my home. What broke me wasn't the wine or the trespassing. It was when she opened my desk drawer, picked up the framed photo of my late wife, and smiled. That was it. I stopped being patient. I became methodical. I dug into the HOA servers and uncovered something bigger: the Maple Ridge Initiative, a secret policy that let the HOA occupy vacant homes for community use. Margaret had built a shadow network, cameras routed through her house funds, redirected through fake maintenance accounts, and access keys distributed among her loyal board members. She wasn't managing a neighborhood. She was running a regime. So I came home early. Not as myself, though. My buddy Nate helped me craft the perfect disguise, a tech contractor from Metro Security Systems hired to recalibrate HOA surveillance equipment. Uniform, badge van, the whole setup. When I showed up at the next HOA board meeting, she didn't even recognize me. Too busy telling people how to improve compliance. While pretending to check network signals, I slipped a relay device into her router. Every mic, every camera, every whisper in that house mine again. That night she bragged to her board about Phase 2 full control over homeowner access rights. She even joked about me. That guy Crossfield's still in London. I checked. She was so sure of it. A few days later, she held a community assembly at my house. The irony was delicious. Her laptop hooked to my projector, her confidence glowing brighter than the chandelier. Tonight, she declared, we ensure Maple Ridge stays perfect. And then I switched the feed. The HOA logo disappeared. In its place, a 4K clip, Margaret Doyle in my robe sipping wine in my living room saying, "When you run the board, you get perks." The crowd gasped. Phones came out. She froze. "This is fake," she screamed. I walked in through the front door, slow, steady suitcase still in hand. "Evening, Margaret," I said. "Hope you've been comfortable." Her face drained of color. You're supposed to be in London." "I was," I said. But then I got homesick. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. The projector switched to another clip, her opening my desk drawer, touching the photo of my wife. The room went silent. Someone whispered. She broke into his home. She tried to regain control, shouting about bylaws and authority, but it was over. The cops stepped in moments later, escorted by my lawyer and armed with a warrant. Her knees buckled. The HOA queen of Maple Ridge finally dethroned in the same room she'd tried to own. After her arrest, the neighborhood changed almost overnight. Her husband confessed to the fraud. The entire board resigned. My neighbor Landry became interim president and rewrote every rule she'd abused. For the first time, Maple Ridge felt like a community again. Kids played outside. People smiled without fear. Weeks later, I got a letter, plain envelope prison issue. It was from her. "Control isn't leadership," she wrote. "It's fear. You were right to stop me. No excuses, no venom, just exhaustion." I tucked it in the same drawer with my wife's photo, not as a trophy, but as a reminder that even tyrants are human when the power's gone. Now, when I sit on the porch with a cup of coffee and the sprinklers hiss in the distance, the silence feels different, honest. I've learned that peace isn't something you enforce with rules. It's something you protect by letting go of control. If you've ever dealt with someone who abused their authority, an HOA, a boss, a neighbor, tell me what you'd have done in my place. Would you have stayed quiet, or would you have fought back? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and let me know where you're watching from. Because sometimes justice doesn't come from courtrooms. Sometimes it walks right through its own front door.